shattered glass and shattered trust.
It just doesn't stop. It just seems like it's getting worse.
The bar owners losing patience after repeated break-ins.
A sloppy mix of rain, sleet, and snow has us in a weather impact alert. We're live on the roads and tracking if this wintry mix is a problem.
Bombs dropped early Saturday.
Those missiles are our ally in this war.
Our top story tonight, we hear from local voices as they process the conflict with Iran.
Some hope, I would also say some fear.
Thank you for joining us for 5 on Your Side at 10. I'm Laura Barcheski. Mike Bush has the night off. We are in a weather impact alert until early tomorrow morning for that wintry mix that might accumulate in some areas. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell starts our team coverage with the first look at our weather impact forecast. Scott?
Well, so far we've seen quite the mixture across the area. We've seen a little bit of snow, some cold rain, and we've seen some sleet when it first starts, and then it tends to transition to either the snow or the rain. Radar has lots of colors on here. It's a little deceptive for sure. Let's get into the metro area. This is mostly rain. It's come into St. Louis now. Leading edge is pushing into the metro east of where that downpour, if you will, is. And that may very well be a bit of sleet. When it first starts, we are cooling the air. And in doing so, just like when you get out of the bathtub, you kind of get cooled, your body cools, you're cooling that air, bringing it down closer to freezing. We're not at freezing, though, in any location across our area. Temperatures are all above freezing. There is mainly some wet snow here going to the north of St. Louis. As we go farther to the south, this is mostly a cold rain, and it's all moving off to the east and is going to be winding down. Through about 4 o'clock in the morning, we will have our weather impact alert. The roads are wet. They're slick in a couple of spots, but this isn't a big winter weather problem. You'll need a little extra time if you're heading out. Everybody right now is looking at temperatures still above freezing at this point. We don't expect that to change. Here's a look up in Winfield right now where it looks like it's still snowing. Let's get out on the storm tracker. Lance Blocker is cruising around in Lincoln County. I know you've seen a little bit of everything tonight, Lance. Where are you and what do you have?
Yeah, Chief, we're headed northbound. We were in Winfield earlier. It's actually heavy snow. What you just talked about really summed it up perfectly. Let's go and show you off the front dash. You can see the rain, sleet, and snow mix. There was big flakes with this earlier. That initial band where that cooling of the atmosphere was taking place came right over us, and we went into that brief, moderate to, I'm serious, brief, heavy snow. It lasted a solid 5 minutes or so, and then we got into that rain, sleet, and snow mix, and then all liquid. We just took off north. We're in eastern portions of Lincoln County right now. For reference, back at home, we're about 42 miles away from the arch due northwest. We're trying to keep up with this frozen band before it switches back over to liquid. We'll keep you updated from here, but again, the good news is no impacts on roads, so we'll keep you updated should anything change with that. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Lance. You're getting a live look at the Old City in Jerusalem, courtesy of EarthCam, as rockets continue to fire across the Middle East. Just hours ago, we learned Iran struck Jerusalem and hurt 6 people. Before the strike on Jerusalem, Israel launched more attacks on the Iranian capital of Tehran. This comes after the U.S. and Israel bombed Iran in a coordinated effort Saturday. The country's supreme leader was reportedly killed in the attacks, along with hundreds of Iranian civilians. And we now know 3 U.S. service members were also killed during the operation. 5 on Your Side's Melanie Johnson spoke with local residents whose families are in the crosshairs. Melanie, what did they share with you?
Yeah, while the world watches with uncertainty, I spoke to those in St. Louis born under the Iranian leader who was killed this weekend by U.S. missiles. They say the attacks are a beacon of hope for relief from an oppressive regime. Explosions from the United States and Israel rocking the capital of Iran Sunday.
This answer might actually surprise you, but we are grateful for them.
It's where Aryan Madani lived his entire life before moving to St. Louis.
Those missiles are our ally in this war because our people were empty-handed. Fighting against the government, which is brutal.
Born in Tehran, Madani working in the emergency rooms of his hometown under the regime killed following the missile attacks.
A lot of people who were shot with shotguns, even machine guns, in the streets just because they demanded freedom.
The country under the control of the same leadership for nearly 50 years. Many have been celebrating in the streets, including in Forest Park.
It's indescribable, and finally the supreme leader in Iran is dead. That was probably the happiest day of my life.
President Donald Trump confirming 3 American fatalities on Sunday.
But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization.
Iran was one of the largest state sponsors of terrorism by supporting Hamas and Hezbollah, and then the Houthis also in Yemen, all of which have been threats to both Israel.
Stephen Bagwell, a political science professor at the University of Missouri St. Louis, says not only are Iran's freedoms on the line, but also prices at the gas pump.
Iran is the 3rd or 4th biggest oil producer in the world. And that is likely to cause oil prices, this sort of disruption is likely to cause oil prices to go up, which would mean further increases in inflation.
With his mother still in Iran, the stakes are personal for Aryan as he is finding peace in the chaos.
We want to be free.
Not everyone supports the strikes. Protesters against the United States' involvement in Iran took to the streets in St. Louis this weekend. Lawmakers like U.S. Congressman Wesley Bell criticizing the attack, saying, quote, President Trump started yet another undefined war in the Middle East.
The Anti-Defamation League is taking a stand in support of the U.S. and Israeli strikes, saying, quote, ADL stands with the United States, Israel, and the Iranian people who deserve dignity and freedom from a regime that murders its own citizens. We learned today that Missouri-based B-2 stealth bombers were part of the operation that killed Iran's supreme leader. Those came from Whiteman Air Force Base in western Missouri near Kansas City. It's the only operational U.S. base for the B-2 bombers. And closer to home, Scott Air Force Base has suspended its Trusted Traveler program. Visitors must now bring a real ID or passport and a vehicle registration to the base. They must also have a valid visitor pass and have a sponsor with them. All visitors will undergo a mandatory background check. Right now, St. Louis police are investigating a deadly shooting that happened yesterday on 13th Street in South St. Louis. A 19-year-old man was shot and killed near Peabody Elementary School. Today, a possible suspect was detained for questioning. We're working to learn more about what led up to the shooting. We'll keep you updated. Tonight, the Mid-County Fire Protection District is conducting an internal investigation after first responders failed to find a fire victim's body. Wayne Van was found dead by his family in his Wellston home on Thursday. The home burned down Tuesday. We won't know Van's cause of death until the autopsy results come back in a few weeks. The cause of the fire is also still unknown. We're also working to learn more about a break-in yesterday at a bar in Soulard. 2 people smashed their way into Hammerstones before making a break for it, and it was all caught on camera. Restaurant owners tell us at this point they're used to people smashing in their front door, and even though these would-be thieves didn't take anything, the owners' frustration continues to grow. Our Reagan DeTrolio has the story.
It's like being kicked in the shin.
That's how Corey Hammerstone feels after her bar and restaurant in Soulard was broken into early Saturday morning. 5 on Your Side was the first to get the security camera footage showing 2 masked men smashing through the glass and entering the bar.
They just jumped through the window, and actually one of them fell out here on the glass, which was kind of funny to watch.
And this isn't the first time this has happened. This has been a reoccurring problem, right?
Yeah, that's the 3rd time we've had somebody smash their way in. It's the 4th break-in we've had in the past 5 years. The first time it happened, we were like, oh, wow, that was weird. And then the second time it happened, we're like, really? Again? And now the 3rd time, we're just like, what do you do?
Every time someone breaks into this restaurant, the owners say it costs them nearly $1,000 just to replace this glass. They say this front door has been replaced 3 times in just 1 year.
They've had this place for 29 years, going on 30, and we've had more problems in the last 4 years than the last 29 combined.
Family friend Harrison Bond says this neighborhood is crawling with drifters, and he hopes the city does something so he doesn't have to keep fixing this glass.
It just doesn't stop. It just seems like it's getting worse. I get why people move out. I mean, I'm this close to giving up on the city.
Reporting in St. Louis, I'm Reagan DeTrolio, 5 on Your Side.
And 5 on Your Side reached out to SLMPD for more information. Officers confirmed 2 men broke in around 3 a.m. Saturday morning. No suspects have been caught yet. We also reached out to Alderwoman Jamie Cox-Antwi to see if there's anything city leaders can do to keep this from happening. We've not heard back yet.
Say goodbye to buyer's remorse if you take the time to look at the fine print.
Taking that extra few minutes to look at these policies is always going to be worth it.
The store policies that could save you from overspending. They're big, blue, and taking over the butterfly house.
We have loads of extra blue morpho butterflies, over 10 times our normal amount.
How these bugs traveled across the world to make it to their St. Louis celebration.
Our weather pattern is going to morph into one that's much more spring-like. Let's just say it's going to be a wet week.
Savvy shoppers are always looking for a deal, but sometimes you think you're getting the best price, then you see the same item for cheaper a few days later. It can feel like you've been ripped off, but you may not be stuck with that higher price. In tonight's Making Ends Meet, Michelle Lee shows you how to get some of that money back and avoid overpaying the next time you shop.
Overpaying happens more often than you think, but Consumer Report says knowing a few store rules can keep more cash in your pocket. Before you shop, take a quick look at a store's price adjustment and price match policies. Those policies can let you claim the lower price even after you've already checked out.
When you know a retailer's policies, it can help you navigate shopping there and getting the best discounts, the best deals possible.
So how do they work?
When you're price matching, you're doing it before you buy. With price adjustments, it's after you've already bought something and you've seen a price drop. You can go and get an adjustment and get a partial refund.
But every retailer's policy is different. For example, Target will only match its own in-store and online prices within 14 days. One exception, in-store matches must be from the same Target location. Walmart will only match a price if you're shopping in-store. See something for less on Walmart.com and request a price match in person. There are also exclusions, and Walmart doesn't match any competitors' prices. The same goes for Costco. If you buy an item and the price drops within 30 days, you can request the difference online for online purchases and in-store for in-person purchases. Remember, no matter where you shop, make sure you're comparing the prices of 2 exact items down to the color. And be sure you have proof. Receipts, ads, screenshots, or printouts of competitors' prices can often boost your case. It may seem like a lot of effort, but
taking that extra few minutes to look at these policies is always going to be worth it.
Michelle Lee, 5 on Your Side.
Another option, even if the store says no, check your credit card. Some cards offer price protection benefits that might help you out. Looking for a new place to rent? That great rental deal could be a scam. Monday morning on Today in St. Louis, what to know before you rent to help protect your money and personal information. That's tomorrow at 6 a.m. Turning now to the weather impact forecast. We are in a weather impact alert tonight, and Lance joins us live from Lincoln County. How are things looking out there, Lance?
Yeah, so we were tracking that band of snow. It actually transitioned over to all snow. Now that warm nose of air aloft is moving in. We're back to all liquid here. You can see as my photojournalist here, Jake Ward, zooms in on some of the snow. There is actually, believe it or not, a dusting of accumulation right now as that heavier snow band moves through. It's still a mix. It's now transitioning back over to mostly liquid. It will continue to do that as that initial band moves northeast. It's going to move into portions of northern Illinois. We're going to switch back over, of course, to all liquid here. That's what we've been tracking, that brief mixture of rain, sleet, and snow. We're down to 38 degrees here right now. This was in the 40s just a little while ago before that rain, sleet, and snow started to move in. But I'll tell you that earlier, as we were out in the Weather Impact Storm Tracker, moving across portions of Missouri, tracking this initial band, it was actually fairly moderate to heavy snow. And again, it only lasts for about 5 to 10 minutes in one given location. Then that warmer air from the south moves in, and we start to see that begin to transition back over to sleet and then liquid and all liquid here south of our region. There is the chance for some more to mix back in as this entire mass of light to moderate rainfall with that mixture moves through our region. We'll continue to keep you updated through the evening and first, of course, tomorrow morning as well. For now, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Lance. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with the full weather impact forecast. Scott, this is only the beginning of our precipitation all week.
Well, it is going to be a wet week for sure, but this should be the only wintry type scenario that plays out across our region. You're looking down in Arnold right now. This has been mostly rain in Arnold. There might have been a little bit of sleet that was mixed in early on, but really as you go into our southern counties, it's just a cold rain. Here it is, that batch moving in, and where you get the initial surge and a little bit of more intense rainfall rates, then you're able to get some cooling through the layer, and you end up seeing sometimes sleet, sometimes a little bit of snow. But what you also notice is the big band that has the higher reflectivity or the more intense areas that's shifting east of St. Louis. There's not a huge amount left back to the west. And the reality is our opportunity to get accumulating snow is fading and fading fast in areas to the north of St. Louis. So I think in the next hour or two, yes, there'll be some spots that maybe get a half an inch to an inch. I doubt it's going to be too many people, not going to be in the metro area. And this whole batch of moisture is moving out before tomorrow morning's rush hour. And we never go below freezing in the metro. So, yes, roads are a bit slick right now. They're certainly wet. In the spots where we've seen where Lance was talking about those 10 or 15-minute bursts of snow and sleet, it gets a little slicker just to give yourself a little extra time if you have to be out during the overnight hours. Here it is. This is the future cast, the high-resolution modeling, taking everything off to the east. There's still going to be some potential for heavier rain down to our south. That's because there's warm, humid air that's being brought in on southwesterly winds aloft up above us, and that's kind of squeezing out some extra moisture and focusing that down to our south, but not into St. Louis. And then points north and west, by the time we get to 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're looking at patches of drizzle, maybe some scattered areas of light rain. Your rush hour tomorrow morning should have some damp roads, and that should be about the extent of it. We're not expecting ponding at that point or anything like that. 36 degrees. Lambert did have snow. Now they've gone back to rain. 45 was the high, 27 was the low this morning. We're holding temperatures within a few degrees of freezing, mostly above freezing. And again, ground temperatures in the 40s. So you're melting whatever comes down if it's frozen or freezing. Mid 40s tomorrow afternoon, outside of that little early on chance for a little bit of rain. Most of the day is probably quiet, and maybe if we get lucky, we might get a little glimpse at the sun late tomorrow afternoon. Don't think that's going to be a big thing, though. In fact, sunshine's pretty hard to come by for the rest of the week. Look how wet it is. But there's also a springtime warm-up here, back near 70 by Thursday, and on Friday, we're up to 78. This is a wet pattern. This is the Weather Prediction Center's 7-day total precip forecast. Where do we sit? 2 to 4 inches here. That's the potential for rainfall, locally higher amounts, because Wednesday and Friday especially, there could be thunderstorms. On Friday, we could be close to 80 degrees for the high.
Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. Thanks, Scott. And art doesn't always have to hang in a frame. How the museum embraced natural beauty this weekend. Well, this was one of the highlights of my weekend. In St. Louis, we all know spring is on the way when Art in Bloom returns to the St. Louis Art Museum. The museum's annual festival brings new life to various mediums of artwork. It's been a tradition since 2000, inviting florists to showcase their skills with bouquets and arrangements inspired by exhibits throughout the museum. I went this weekend and it was stunning. A lot of these designers come from right here in the St. Louis area. Visitors could vote for their favorite out of 30 different arrangements. The event wrapped up just a few hours ago. Today, the Sophia M. Sachs Butterfly House is celebrating its blue morpho butterflies. Staff say it's not only one of the biggest species in the conservatory, it's also one of the most popular. Up close, their wings show brown spots, but when they open, those massive wings flash a vibrant blue. During Morphomania, visitors can see more than 1,000 flying around at once. That's nearly 10 times more than usual. Just last week, the Butterfly House welcomed more than 700 new blue fluttering friends, but prep work started weeks ago, sourcing butterflies from a nonprofit in Central America that does more than breed butterflies.
All of our blue morphos come from El Bosque Nuevo, which is a nonprofit butterfly farm in Costa Rica. Butterflies are not cheap, and the money we spend on the butterflies goes directly into a rainforest preserve. So you can draw a straight line between you visiting and making real impact in Costa Rica where it matters most.
And if you make it to the butterfly house, you can even see them hatch. There's a little window to the conservatory's entomology lab where you can watch them pop out and start drying their wings. Morphomania lasts through the end of March. Another season on the slopes comes to a close. What made this winter a little more memorable for Hidden Valley? Well, it's time to put those skis back in storage. Hidden Valley is closed for the season. If you didn't make it to the Eureka Ski Resort before 8 o'clock tonight, you have to wait until next winter. It was a historic season for Hidden Valley with its earliest opening day in about 25 years. And here's one last look at the roads from the 5 on Your Side storm tracker. I understand it's a little wet out there, maybe some flurries going on. Not too bad.
A little bit of a mix in there.
A little bit of a mix in there.
Yeah, but not a big problem.
And Scott, you had one last check of the weather.
Yeah, we are talking at this point about, this mix kind of winding down across the area. We're still going to have that chance north of St. Louis to see a little snow, a little sleet mixing in, but the temperatures are still above freezing. And look at where the back edge of this is. It's already coming into Columbia. And so we got about another 4 or 5 hours in the metro where you get a little precip, mostly just wet roads. And then beyond that, we're going to be mainly cloudy going into tomorrow. So bottom line here is it's rather gray out there right now. That's pretty much what we expect for the rest of the upcoming week. But it'll get a lot warmer after tomorrow. 46 for the high tomorrow. Let's flip those numbers. 64 on Tuesday and then close to 80 by the end of the week. That could come with a couple of stronger storms.
Will we see some sun at all?
At some point.
Okay, well, that's all our time for 5 on Your Side at 10. We're always streaming. Stay informed, stay thoughtful. Sports Plus with Frank Cusimano starts right now.